Hello and welcome to the J and Z podcast. I'm your host, Zeth Makalo, with
Jace Van Ort. All right. So for today's podcast, we'll be talking about the legendary game Super Mario Galaxy.
one of the best games of all time for me.
And for myself, now I haven't played it in a good few years since I was a little kid, but Zeth here is our uh, retro game expert. So I wanted to ask you, how long has it been since you first played the game?
Like, what do you mean? Like, since I last played it or since I
When's the first
first
time you
played it?
ever played it? When?
Oh,
How old were you?
geez. I must have been just like 7 or 8. It was kind of interesting because the Nintendo Wii was one of my first romps into video games. Before that, I was a PlayStation guy. I had a PlayStation 1, but I really didn't play a whole lot. So my father, he purchased the Wii. It was just one of those things where I watched my father play, and he brought home one day, I believe, Mario Kart Wii and Galaxy. And I had a buddy over at the time, and it was so amazing because I had never played a Mario game up to that point. I believe that was my first romp with Mario, and we just played that all night, and we couldn't figure out for nothing that first level, the one with the dinosaur with the tail. We couldn't figure out that you had to spin into it, so it was definitely something special. But it's been quite a while, buddy.
Yeah. I remember getting that game and the second game. It was as a present, and I haven't played them since I was a little kid. But Zeth has certainly played them a lot more recently. So we might go through and just see some of these levels and see what we remember here.
Yeah, one of my favorite levels of all time was the Bee Kingdom, where you had to like help the queen and stuff, and you turned into a bee. That one was always good.
I swear the coolest thing back in the day was getting all the different kinds of mushrooms, and then the bee mushroom was always just the funniest thing to me. I'll tell you.
So yeah, just one of the greatest games of all time, in my opinion. One of the best soundtracks for a game. One of the best controlling games. Uh, just in general, it's just a masterclass in everything.
Yeah, that soundtrack was killer. I have fond memories of playing it in band class. We were the best sounding orchestra at the time. I'll tell you what.
You played in band class?
I played the French horn for good 6 7 years. I was awful at it. No, I'm kidding. I was just okay. But yeah, this was always one of my favorite ones to play in class, and we played it in concert, and it sounded great.
Do you know which ones you played or no?
It was like the main the one you think of when you think of Super Mario Galaxy.
Oh,
I
okay,
don't
so
even know
like
what
it's
it's
main
called.
theme, main theme.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Another thing that I've always liked about the game was kind of just its space feel and its loneliness. Almost, it's weird to say that, but whenever you watch somebody play or you play it itself, it's one of those games you want to be immersed. Like you turn off the lights, you have the flickering TV in front of you, and you want to play it late at night, kind of sort of game.
Yeah, and as a kid, even I knew this game was awesome. Like I just had a gut feeling, and I'm like, you know what, this is one of the best games I've ever played. So you know what, if I ever get my hands back on a Switch, or if I can figure out a way to emulate it, emulation. But I'd love to play this again. This would be something I look forward to.
Yeah, I mean the Switch it does have it in the 3D All Stars collection, and I don't know how well you would be able to emulate Mario Galaxy. Are they good with Wii games now?
Okay, so the problem with the emulation on it, right, is it works perfectly, except for when you need to use a pointer, and that's like every Wii game in existence. So yeah, it could use some work.
Okay, so you can't like map it like they did for the Switch, like to a button.
I haven't tried this particular game because if I remember correctly, you don't really use it that much, right? Like you just collect the stars and shake it to
Well,
spin or something.
you use the pointer sometime. Like I think you drag yourself every once in a while.
Oh, that might be right. It's been such a long time.
I mean, it's been a good romp for me for a few years, but I'm pretty sure like you can point the little hand at the screen, and there's like these little stars you have to like make Mario go from star to star, and the only way to do that is by clicking and stuff.
Yeah. So besides that B level, that is literally the only level I remember, just because the queen bee was so fat, and it's just such a funny level. But were there any other levels of note in the game that were just really cool? Oh, wait, I do remember the very first level is super cool. But what are your thoughts? Like, which levels did you really enjoy?
I actually really enjoyed the first level. It's actually my favorite, I think. That just embodied, the way the game is supposed to shape up and stuff like that, like how it's all space and it's all dark and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and then they have like the star bits falling and they like explode on the ground. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, it was definitely cool. I really, I forget what it's called, but there's one that's about toys. You're like super, super tiny and everything's big. Like there's big wooden blocks and stuff. There's a big robot and stuff.
Hmm. I don't
Uh,
remember that one.
yeah, I can't really remember that either, but I remember that one being kind of a favorite of mine. And then I like some of the ice worlds and the penguins and stuff. I remember those guys. Those guys were cute.
So yeah, I unfortunately don't have a Switch. I sold mine a couple of years ago,
Yeah,
but
you bum. You stay up all night waiting for it at like 1 in the morning, and then you're like, I'm gonna sell it a year later.
hey, to be fair, there wasn't like I played what I could play at launch, but there was a long drought where there was just nothing coming out.
Yeah, I get you.
So do you think that All-Star bundle was worth the price on that Switch?
Yeah, actually, it included one game that, unless you're like me and have a physical copy of Sunshine, you're not gonna be able to play that game unless Nintendo ever remade it, which they probably won't. I mean, Super Mario 64 is Super Mario 64. I mean, that game you can emulate. There's a million ways to buy it.
I should be able to emulate what's the one, Sunshine, but there's no way for me to do Galaxy at the moment.
Yeah, I think it was worth it. I just think the hype for it was overshadowed because you had it
People
where
expected a lot more out of it than what they
yeah,
gave.
yeah, yeah. They were expecting like a full-on remaster, not just like little upgrades here and there and little graphical changes.
Exactly. Your younger brother is quite proficient at the game.
To say the least, yeah. He has currently beaten the game on the Switch up to, I believe it's 6 or 7 times, both as Mario and Luigi. He's one of those kids that he sits down and he watches other people speed run the game or something like that, or he plays it and he'll try and get better and better and better and faster. So he's gotten to the point where he can beat the game in like over 2 days.
Man, that is super impressive. And has your younger brother ever taken a crack at the sequel, Super Mario Galaxy 2?
Yeah, he has. I personally beat that game, but what he did was he went the next step because what happens when you play the game, it does a whole nother game. I forget what it's called, but there's like a bunch of stars that reappear and they're all green. So it's like you got to do the stars in like quicker time. And he actually did grab all those stars, so he knows that game inside and out too.
Man, that's awesome. I actually have a funny story about Super Mario Galaxy 2. I
Really?
remember I was a little older, right? And my dad was going to get it for me as a present. And so he came home from work with a GameStop bag in his hand and he put it on the counter. And then, I'm just a curious little kid. I peek inside and it's Super Mario Galaxy 2. I didn't know that I was supposed to not know about it, but he caught me looking at it and he's like, "Oh, it's for a guy at work or something." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And so I let him have it. It's like, okay. And then sure enough, when it came around, handing out gifts, I'm like, "Oh, man, what a surprise," Is Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Has there ever been like any other times when like you've received a game like that where it's just like a total surprise or you're like,
Oh, yeah,
no
yeah.
way?
So that's happened a couple times. So one time, they got me really good at this one. I didn't have anything of the sort at the time, but I opened up my gifts and I got a copy of Need for Speed. I think it was Rivals on the PS4 and another PS4 game. And I'm like, oh, mom, I don't even have a PS4. And then, they didn't say anything. And so after everything was all said and done, we're cleaning up. He's like, hey, why don't you go look behind that table there? And then I finally got a PS4.
Oh yeah, that's
They led
cool.
me on for so long. I totally just thought my mom would just pick the wrong game. I knew it just didn't sound like her, but you know what? Just after a while, you're expecting something to happen and nothing comes. It was great. That was an awesome night, though.
Yeah, there was one time that happened to me too, bud, where I wasn't surprised because I kind of saw it coming from a mile away. But what happened was we were going on a trip to North Carolina. And before that, my dad had kind of asked, he's like, all right, so if you had to choose between this console and that console, what would you want? And at the time, the PS Vita and the 3DS had just came out. I was more of a Nintendo fan at that point than a PlayStation. Even though I knew of PlayStation games, I was more of a fan of Nintendo. I wanted, to play Mario and stuff. And
Oh
so,
yeah.
I was telling him that, and we were at GameStop and stuff, and I was looking at him and stuff, and he's like, all right, all right. And so then, like, a week goes by, and we're gonna leave on the trip the day of, and he comes in with a copy of Lego Batman 3 or Star Wars or something like that. It was like the new Lego game. And he got me that. But then also what happened was my mother asked to like go get a purse or something out of the car, and underneath her purse was a 3DS charger. And I just kind of looked at it and I was like, "What?" Like I was just like really confused, but it said like it uses other things like cameras and stuff. So I was like, "Oh, okay, no biggie." So I put the purse down and I gave it to her. And then we're on our way to the trip, and he's my dad just kind of reaches back and he's like, "Oh, here," and it's a 3DS.
That's so your dad.
Yeah, so
Ah,
it was
well,
pretty
I see
good.
he made the right choice, and so did you. I mean, there's nothing against the PS Vita, but the 3DS was just awesome.
Oh yeah, just I mean, I own both consoles, so they both have their positive traits.
But if I'm
Especially,
going on a road trip, you,
oh
you
yeah, yeah,
gotta
yeah.
pick yeah.
The 3DS had a greater library too up to that point. I think the Vita had like a few good games, but I mean, 3DS up to that point had Mario Kart, Mario 3D Land. You had the entire DS library, which I actually never had a DS. So I was,
Really?
yeah, I never had a DS growing up. I was one of the few kids in the USA that never had one. So started with the 3DS, but I had the entire library opened up to me. So it was really great stuff.
Man, I never had a 3DS until the 2DS, like the brand new one, not the single one, the folding one came out. That's
Oh,
the first time I ever got a 3DS.
the new 2DS, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that got sold almost instantly, but I had a DSi for the longest time. I used to have a DS that got stolen from our car, but I got a DSi, and I played the heck out of that. I'm still mad. I remember because I remember in my DS, even as a little kid, I lost my copy of Bomberman on it because it was in the cartridge slot when they stole it. So I'm still mad about that. But yeah, they're just awesome consoles.
Yeah, they really are.
Well, we can always talk about our famed cast for the new Super Mario Brothers movie.
Ah, yes, the star-studded cast.
So, Zeth, it's clear you've been a Nintendo fan for a really long time. So I was just curious about your thoughts and plans going forward about the Super Mario Brothers movie that's coming out soon.
Ah, I'm really excited for that star-studded cast. I'm gonna probably dress up as it. Mario or not Mario, Luigi, and my younger brother's probably gonna be Mario since he's smaller. Makes
Oh, you
sense from
guys
the
got
games.
costumes?
Not yet, but we're putting them together. We're putting them together. We got another year and a half, so I think we got enough time. I mean, yeah, the cast when it was first announced, I was busting out laughing as hard. I mean, I've never laughed more in my life.
I am about to burst out laughing just staring at it again. Keegan Michael Key as Toad. Like, what on earth is this?
I don't even, who is, I know he's like a comedian, but like I've never even heard of him.
He just doesn't look like a Toad. What's his name? I know I heard his name.
Doesn't look like a toad.
See, I don't think oh, he's from Key and Peele, of course. He's in all a bunch of stuff.
Well, I know that, but like I've just never seen like anything from him, so I don't know what to expect from him.
Sure, sure, and I'm pretty sure it's all irrelevant. I'm pretty sure this movie will be the defining moment of his career, so I don't think anything else really matters.
Do you think it was a mistake to not have Charles Martinet as Mario?
No, it'd be really strange to have him and just everybody else, you know. I mean, he has his place, and I love him as Mario. But if Mario's going to be talking the whole time, I don't know if I can stand that voice for a 2 hour movie, you know.
Do you think it might be a mix? So what I mean by that is, do you think like Chris Pratt is going to be like Mario's voice, but if he's jumping or he's going Yahoo, it's going to be Charles Martinet
Oh, that's a good question. Man, I don't know. I'm curious what they do with that now. I never even thought about that.
because it doesn't say specifically who he is, just like little cameos, but that might be his cameo. Same thing for like Luigi or whoever else he plays in the games.
Oh, have you guys? I'm sure you guys have seen this already, but man, oh man, it's just the I just can't help but picturing these people just try to voice these characters. I'm sure they'll do great, but
Okay, you know what I think they've really lost out on is these characters are perfect for a live action interpretation.
yeah, but they're not doing that again. They can't afford to
No,
do
no,
that
no.
again.
Come on. The 1983 movie or 1993 movie? Come on. That's like the greatest movie of all time.
Definitely. Um,
So do you think
oh
Chris Pratt
boy,
will do good?
I think that he will. There's no way he can't do good. You know, I love Chris Pratt. We all love Chris Pratt. And there's just no way they wouldn't cast him if he couldn't do it, you know?
Well, do you think they casted him more because he's a hot name in Hollywood
Oh,
or for his
100%.
voice?
It's like everybody else. There's 100% going to be better people to voice these people, but, you know, it's a trade off. At least I guarantee you they're getting a lot more media attention over this and a lot more publicity than if they were to just pick some guy that sounds exactly like Mario, like Charles Martinet, to voice him and everybody else, you know?
Do you think this might come out like the Sonic movie where there's a trailer and all of a sudden they have to like, oh no, 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 sorry, 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 we'll fix it, we'll fix
Well, as long as they don't give Mario human teeth, I think we're in the clear for
it.
now.
Okay, so
Anya
and
Taylor Joy.
Anya Taylor Joy. Okay, Anya Taylor Joy as Princess Peach. What do you think of that? No
Sounds
Daisy
good to
actually this
me.
time.
No Daisy. I have no qualms with that. I think she's a great actress. I liked her in what have I seen her in Split? I heard she's great in Queen's Gambit, and I could totally see her voicing a Princess Peach.
Yeah, I was watching a bunch of reactions, and not a lot of people remember she's in Split. That's like the only movie though I know she's in. That and the New Mutants, but that was awful.
Don't forget her exciting role in the Playmobil movie. Who can forget that?
Oh man, Charlie Day is Luigi.
It's He's the guy from Always Sunny, right? I still have to watch it, but
Yeah.
I haven't heard
Um,
too much negative about it.
Also, he was the crazy guy, the kaiju crazy guy from Pacific Rim
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
that
I
had all
haven't
the
heard enough of him
tattoos
to
and
have an
stuff.
opinion. So you're more qualified to talk about this. What are your thoughts as Charlie Day as Luigi?
After watching Pacific Rim again, I think he's kind of perfect. I don't.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not 100% on it. I'm not 100% sold on this cast yet. It's got to be. It's gonna be one of those things where it's like Jim Carrey as Eggman. Like I gotta see that first in order to
Okay, well,
believe
Jim
it.
Carrey was an awesome Eggman. I didn't even watch it, and I know he was a good Eggman.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like one of those things where it's like, all right, did you just cast him because or is he actually gonna be good? You know what I mean? So
Maybe
I think he's going to be, out of all this cast, I can see him the best as Luigi. Like he's the one cast where it's like, all right, I can see that, but at the same time,
he
I need to watch a trailer first.
definitely. I've been dying for a trailer. That said, I know what you're thinking, but we can all agree that the best casting decision in this entire thing is, if you're looking at the same thing I am, Jack Black as Bowser. Who else could it possibly be? Maybe Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but no, Jack Black.
No,
If I
no,
want
no.
I want Bowser to be funny. I want it to totally catch us off guard and him to, like, I don't know. I love that Jack Black is Bowser.
I don't know.
You don't know what's not to know. He's Bowser. Duh. You
I
know.
know, but I've seen voice acting Bowser in Sunshine, and it sounds like Cookie Monster's drunk brother. Uh, I mean, I don't know when it comes to Jack Black. Like I the yeah, he did voice work and stuff like in
He's Kung Fu Panda. He's Poe.
yeah, he was in Kung Fu Panda and stuff, but
He's a great voice actor. That's one of my favorite movies. Is Kung Fu Panda. It's so funny.
I know, but it sounds like Jack Black is what I'm saying. It's not like the only movie that like he sounded nothing like himself was actually Bernie. That was a really really good movie where he was a very quiet and shy man. And then I think the Polka King, that's a Netflix movie. He plays a guy who's a, a polka man, and yeah, couldn't come up with a word. Uh, and he has a totally different accent in that movie. So I think he can do it, but at the same time, just hearing Bowser talk is going to be weird, in my opinion.
I don't think so. And it's not like he's going to use his Jack Black voice. He's going to, have that deep growl. Like, you can't,
You
like,
never know.
half these people are gonna have to change their voice. I will not stand it if Mario sounds like Chris Pratt. That'd
Yeah.
just be so weird. But he's not gonna, how Jack Black sounds. Everybody knows he's like, I don't even know how to describe it. You just gotta listen to him, but he's
Hmm.
not gonna have that voice.
All right. So we've already talked about Keegan Michael Key as Toad. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
I see that. I see that. Haven't watched too many of his movies. I'm sure they're great, but or probably not. I don't know.
Uh,
I have no.
that's
Actually, he has some
an
pretty
awful casting
mediocre
choice,
lineup.
in my opinion. I
Yeah,
s-
it depends how much Donkey Kong's in the movie. Same thing with Cranky Kong. I'm not sure if it's like a. So, despite this star-studded cast,
well,
we can speculate
what do you
all we
think about
want.
all the other guys?
I have
Like,
nothing to say. I barely know anybody else on this cast, honestly.
okay, so you don't know the characters that they're, or not the, you don't know the stars, but you know the characters. So Cranky Kong, Kamek, and Foreman Spike.
That brings me to the biggest problem that I have such a hard time putting these characters into, like, the scenario, is that I have been thinking about this and there's no answer to me. What are your thoughts? What is the movie even going to be about? Like, what could you possibly do in the Mario movie?
So I'm thinking first it's going to be a little bit like the 1993 film, where it's like the Mushroom Kingdom's in an alternate universe and stuff, and the Mario Brothers are in real life essentially. And I believe what's going to happen is, since Foreman Spike is in here from Wrecking Crew, and you have Donkey Kong and Cranky Kong. Cranky Kong is supposed to be in the video games. He's supposed to be the original Donkey Kong. And then Diddy Kong from the original arcade games is Donkey Kong in the Donkey Kong Country games, if that makes any sense. But so what I'm thinking is you're going to get a Donkey Kong slash Wrecking Crew sort of origin story, because those were like Mario games essentially, even though they're kind.
Maybe.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be like where they get fired or something like that because Donkey Kong's wrecking havoc. And then you might have where Donkey Kong and Cranky Kong are just in there for that one little segment, and then it
That's what
goes
I'm thinking for
on.
some of these guys, yeah.
Yep, and then it goes on to them being in an alternate universe, and Princess Peach gets captured, etc.
The problem is, and unfortunately, Illumination being the producers of it, it doesn't give me a lot of hope. I just can't think of a plot that's not super generic that they can follow. And I don't like what is there to do besides save the princess or go on an adventure for adventure's sake, or I don't know. There's a how did the original movie go actually? Like I know you mentioned talked about it briefly, but like what's the plot of that one?
So the original movie is actually my third favorite movie of all time. I have a 35 millimeter printouts of it. uh, yeah, it's just I've got like action figures and stuff sealed in the box and stuff. I mean, it's all around a really good time. Um, but how the movie is it's an origin story. So what happens is Mario and Luigi are in Brooklyn, and then they're plumbers, so they're down on their luck. Uh, they keep getting their jobs stolen by these other guys, and during all of this, you have this girl who is from another dimension named Daisy. And what happens is she's a dinosaur excavator. She digs bones and stuff, and what happens is a guy named Koopa or Bowser, Dennis Hopper, steals her and travels her to another dimension where it's called the Mushroom Kingdom or Dino Hatton. It's instead of like a bunch of Goombas and stuff, it's all dinosaurs like in Mario World, but they're all humans
Hmm.
because it's two alternate universes where one half of the universe dinosaurs evolved into humans, while our universe or apes evolved into humans. So it's very strange. And then you got the typical Mario and Luigi have to save Daisy.
No. Well, Nate, that sounds pretty. It's very strange that she's an archaeologist, but I guess it's just so many things we don't know about it. This movie, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see for a trailer.
Yeah, do you think this might become the trilogy of movies? So you have the Detective Pikachu movie that's actually pretty good, and the Sonic movie for what it is actually very good in my opinion. I mean, besides the obvious product placement, but for the most part, it's really good. Do you think this movie might join the ranks of being one of the greater video game movies?
I would say yes if it wasn't produced by Illumination. That's literally it. That's my biggest concern, and it's not necessarily unfounded.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else to add, do you have anything else to add?
I'm fresh out of ideas.
All right. Well, thanks for joining, and thank you for listening. This was episode 1. Thank you. Goodbye.
So, yeah.